Frieren's 27th episode proves that this series has the best pacing that I have ever experienced. Why, you might ask? Well, it all has to do with Fern's wand. You see, when her wand broke in the previous episode, it left me and probably others wondering, well, how is the show going to resolve this? Because that is a really crucial element to Fern, and it would be a shame if they just sort of glossed over it like a lot of other series would have. Or some other series would have devoted a whole episode or a whole arc just based around a quest to find the new wand. But Frieren gets this perfectly. They don't undersell it, but they also don't oversell it. They devote half an episode to fixing the wand. But it's also more than half an episode, and it's also less than half an episode. It's just the perfect amount. And that's because they tie it into this episode so well that you see elements of it all throughout the episode without even realizing it. So the episode starts out with a quarrel between Frieren and Fern because Frieren's like, well, why don't you just get a new wand that's better? And for most people, we can instantly see, well, yeah, Frieren's in the wrong there because that was a very sentimental thing. So you obviously don't want to be told just go replace it. So us as the audience understand Fern's perspective and agree with her perspective. And obviously, as the episode progresses, we learn that, Frieren goes and gets the staff fixed and, resolves the whole issue. But there's a lot of hidden complexities in this episode that really make it integrate so well into the character building and the world building. So, for example, when Stark and Fern were heading back to the tavern, they pass by Reiter, and he's the one who obviously fixed the staff for her. So when they pass by, he notices them and's like, hey, you're Frieren's student, right? And she doesn't say anything. Fern does not say anything to that. And Stark is the one that has to answer, which at first might, seem a little bit weird, but, we sort of let it go as, Fern's kind of weird sometimes. But on the inside of her mind, she is actually wondering, like, do I even want to associate with Frieren who doesn't care? Because, you have to keep in mind that before Frieren was her master, Reiter was her master. So above all else, he's coming first, and he's the one who gave her the staff. And so she's like, well, I don't even want to call myself a student of Frieren, because she doesn't even respect, my other master who is probably more important to me at this point. And that's the first example of how this show just gets the characters and the pacing so perfect, because a lot of other shows would have been like, oh, yeah, I'm her student, and would have just completely overlooked the fact that, they were fighting, and there's probably going to inherently be some doubt, even if we know, and even if Fern knows that, yeah, I'm still ultimately going to be her student. There is still that conflict there, and she is still hesitating to say, yeah, I'm her student confidently. And this fact is even more apparent later in the episode, because when she's taking the test, she is invited to become the student of Syria. And then Fern asks, well, will this affect, the results of my test? Will this affect if I pass or not? And then Syria is like, well, maybe. And even after that, knowing that she might be failed because of her answer, she still confidently says that she is Frieren's student. And it just shows the contrast of going from not even wanting to call yourself her student to confidently declining the most powerful mage in the existence in this world that we know of so far. She was promised an amazing life. She was promised to be the most powerful mage because she would be mentored by the most powerful mage. She was offered a great deal of stuff there. And to still say, you know what? No. I am Frieren's student. It adds to the realism because just like in real life, you can have a fight that tears the relationship apart. But if you're able to work together after that, you can come together and be even stronger than you were before. And that's what happened in this episode. This was the mark where Fern is like, I am Frieren's student. And that's it. Nothing can question that. She is the best master for me. So not only was this episode focused on the more emotional aspect of the wand breaking and stuff like that, it also focused heavily on showing the bonds created throughout the series. Because keep in mind, this is the second to last episode of season 1, which is honestly a little sad to hear. We got one more episode left, but it shows how far they've come together, where they can confidently stick up for each other because Frieren was like, well, why don't you just go buy a new wand, and saw that Fern was, very clearly upset about that, and was like, you know what, I'm probably wrong for this. Let me go get it fixed. And then Fern could be like, how could she even say something like that? And then going through the experiences that she did, talking with people and realizing, she just doesn't understand, emotions don't inherently come to her the best, but she tries, and, she learns that Frieren is trying, and that's evident by her going to fix the wand. So overall, this episode was a great example of how Frieren just gets everything right. And not only just on an episode by episode basis, like this episode in itself was a perfect example of how the pacing was great and how the characters are great and everything like that, but it also shows us how over the entire season, how great everything just works together, because we saw their journey and we saw them coming together each episode. And then this episode acted as a pillar saying, hey, we didn't just, let all this character growth and development go to waste. We're seeing the results of them working together and working as a team and coming together to, be the perfect master and student. So it's no wonder that Frieren is the #1 anime of all time right now, and how it keeps growing. It just keeps getting a higher and higher rank as we get to the end of the series, which is just amazing to hear. And if you haven't seen my video on Frieren's rank, you should definitely go check that out. But I'm very excited to see, once the final episode comes out, first of all, what they're gonna do to end off the series, because I don't honestly feel like they need to do anything showy. I think, they've done all that. They could just end off peacefully and still have an amazing end to the series. But we'll just have to wait and see. If you enjoyed this video, you can leave a like and subscribe for more content similar to this. I have much more Frieren content planned, so definitely stay subscribed to stay tuned to all that, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.